Good afternoon and welcome to the November Ordinary Council meeting. Item 1, acknowledgement. We, Greater Shepparton City Council, acknowledge the Yorta Yorta peoples of the land which now comprises Greater Shepparton. We pay our respect to their tribal elders. We celebrate their continuing culture and we acknowledge the memory of their ancestors. Item 2, privacy notice. This public meeting is being streamed live via our Facebook page and made available for public access on our website, along with the official minutes of this meeting. All care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, it is assumed that your consent is given in the event that your image is broadcast to the public. It is also assumed that your consent is given to the use and disclosure of any information that you share at the meeting, including personal or sensitive information, to any person who accesses those recordings or minutes. I do welcome people in the gallery this afternoon. Item 3, governance principles. Council considers that the recommendations contained in this agenda gives effect to the overarching governance principles stated in section 9(2) of the Local Government Act 2020. These principles are as follows. Councillors are listed 1 to 9 on page 5 of the agenda. Over the page to page 6, item 4, apologies nil received. Item 5, declarations of conflict of interest. Councillors, do we have any conflicts this afternoon? No? Great. Item 6, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. Are there any minutes opposed? No. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward as a motion, please? Councillor Spinks.
Thank you. I'll move that the minutes of the 22nd October 2024 council meeting and 19 November 2024 additional council meeting as circulated be confirmed.
Councillor Spinks. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Brophy.
Second that motion.
Councillors, all in favour? Motion carried and opposed. Item 7, public question time nil received. Item 8, deputations and petitions nil received. Over the page to item 9.1, Sports Hall of Fame Advisory Committee. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward as a motion? Councillor Brophy.
Thank you, Mayor Sarley. I'd like to put forward the following recommendation: that the Council 1, adopt the terms of reference for the Sports Hall of Fame Advisory Committee as attached. 2, appoint the following community representatives to the Greater Shepparton Sports Hall of Fame Advisory Committee for a period of 4 years, commencing on the 26th of November 2024 and expiring on the 30th of August 2028, they being Don Kilgour, Peter Holland, Dennis Myers, Tyler Marr, Tanya Phillips, Margot Koskelainen, Valley Sport, and representative by proxy is Tom Vandenberg. And 3, acknowledge the contribution of outgoing committee members and write to thank them for their service.
Thank you, Councillor Brophy. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please?
I'll second that motion.
Spinks. Councillor Brophy, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Sarley. This has been put forward now in November. We're hoping that it might have got up in terms of the terms of reference and the committee appointments prior to the last council going into caretaker mode. It didn't get over the line there, but this is really ratifying those committee members and making sure that these terms of reference are now put through. There are some changes to it, one being that there is now only one councillor on this particular committee, and the 2 aren't required, and that particular councillor will be the designated chair to that committee, and also that they don't have any voting rights, because for people who don't realise, councillors get an opportunity to vote when they're at the council meeting. So anything that's been put forward by that advisory committee as a recommendation to come to council, then to be put through, we have the vote then. I'd like to make a thank you particularly to those that are leaving that particular committee. Jackie Hudson, who people very well known across the district in regards to the Golden Valley League, Craig Potter, and also to Daryl Butcher, who was an incredible contribution over many years and has finally stepped away, but thank you to those 3.
Councillor Brophy. Councillor Spinks, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. Just briefly to say, I do congratulate all of the new memberships being appointed to the committee, and of course thank the outgoing committee members for their service to this particular advisory committee. I do wonder if this committee will continue to look the way that it does moving forward. I do note that only 7 nominations were received with 8 available positions, so it does show maybe a not waning interest, but that people's time is poor and it's hard to be on committees. So whether this, one day may take more of a form of our volunteer awards and being handled more of an internal process rather than requiring the time of community members, I don't know. but also just taking the time to mention, I'm very glad to see that even though a gender impact assessment wasn't required, it is recommended for gender equity training to be undertaken by the committee to ensure that the Hall of Fame process gives appropriate consideration to equity and inclusion. Certainly, women's sports is only growing and booming, and making sure that we're equitably considering those being nominated for the Sports Hall of Fame is important. So I'm excited that that will take part and has been suggested, and congratulations to the newly appointed members.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Spinks. Are there any councillors that would like to speak against the motion? No? Are there any councillors that would like to speak for the motion? No. Councillors, if there's nothing else, we will now go to the vote. All those in favour? Carried and opposed. Councillors, we go over the page to page 11, item 10.1, contracts awarded under delegation, October 2024. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward as a motion, please? Councillor Summer.
Thank you, Mayor Sally. I'll move that the council, 1, note the contracts awarded under delegation pursuant to a formal procurement process for the reporting period, and 2, note the request for tender advertised but not yet awarded.
Thank you, Councillor Summer. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please?
I'll second that motion.
Councillor Spinks. Councillor Summer, would you like to speak to the motion?
Only to say that this is a very interesting part of our agenda. It lists what is being worked on and progressed through the system that may not necessarily come to our attention because it's under delegation from the organisation. Lots of very worthy projects in here spread out. We've got Merrigum culverts, we've got investigating GB Link near Marubna, we've got pedestrian bridges in Kyala, shared path in Gemmell Swamp, a whole bunch of stuff. So I just encourage people to have a look and see what councils are working on behind the scenes.
Great, thank you, Councillor Summer. Councillor Spinks, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Great, are there any councillors that would like to speak against the motion? Any councillors that would like to speak for the motion? No, councillors, we will now go to the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried, unopposed. Councillors, page 14, item 10.2, councillor representation on committees. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward as a motion? Thank you. Councillor Summer.
Thank you, Mayor Sally. I'd like to move the recommendation as printed on page 14 and 15 with one alteration, that the development hearings panel strike off Councillor Wickham, and include
She said that.
Sally.
Summer said that.
So just a bit of housekeeping.
Okay, you.
Replace Councillor Wickham with Councillor Sally. Better wording.
You, Councillor Summer. Can I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Brophy.
Second that motion.
Councillor Summer, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Brophy, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Sally. In terms of representation, is that when a new council comes on board, the advisory committees, a number of the committees have been in recess in terms of meeting, so then it's divvied up as to who would take on what the particular roles on the committee. And a lot of them are very highly sought after because they're terrific advisory committees, they're representation of council, and it's a terrific one for not only the volunteers that are on it, but also councillors to actually engage with those particular advisory committees and to get some work done. They're a conduit, and in a lot of cases the councillors are actually chairing those committees. I note too that there's a revocation of councillor representations on the number of committees, whereby the CEO will then appoint the internal delegate to be representative on those. And I think that's a way of moving forward. What we will find is that revision of existing, advisory committees, is prudent over a period of time. Should they, should the community expectations are that, once they've sort of finished with what their particular agenda is, or if they continue with it, then they would either be decommissioned or they continue, etc. So I think this is an apt time to be able to do that. In particular, the committees that will no longer have a council represented on it, but certainly will be very important, is the Advisory Housing Reference Group, the Creative City Advisory Committee, the Greater Shepparton Public Health and Wellbeing Plan Advisory Committee, the Golden Valley Highway Bypass Action Group, and the Shepparton Chamber of Commerce and Industry Parking Reference Group.
Thank you, Councillor Brophy. Are there any councillors that would like to speak against the motion? Any councillors that would like to speak for the motion? Councillor Spinks.
Thank you. Our committees and having councillor representation is an essential part of our role. It is more than just meetings and briefings. It is also making sure that we are connected with community and have an eye across the various things that council is a part of. We obviously have our standards, our audit and risk, our CEO remuneration and our development hearings. Those are, as part of the Local Government Act, requirements. And we certainly have our committees that include council as a member and are mostly a collaborative effort with various councils, various organisations, and those are really important. I'm handing over a couple and have greatly enjoyed my time, with special note to the Golden Murray Climate Alliance that do incredible work in collaborating on the climate mitigation and adaptation responses and work that is done across the state, or especially our region. But I want to do a special mention to the advisory committees. Not all councils have advisory committees. Not all councils have the same advisory committees. It is an important part of what our council, how our council operates. And I think an essential part of how our council operates. It is never lost on me in the previous term or in this term that a single councillor, even a councillor group, cannot know the experience of every community member that exists within our 70,000 people. We are limited based on our own experiences to be able to understand the different walks of life that are out there. And knowing those limitations, there is only so much we can do to authentically and properly represent the many different people in our community. So having a direct way to hear the voices of those people, of the very different groups that we have, whether it's disability, LGBTIQA+, positive ageing, the Women's Charter, is essential to make sure that we are hearing more than just 9 voices and that we do have access to the experience, perspectives and wisdom of more than just those who sit around this table. So I am very grateful that we continue to have those, and I hope that in the next 4 years we will lean on them heavily to make sure that we provide them the opportunity to be heard and be listened to. And I also will just quickly mention that the Affordable Housing Reference Group and Public Health and Wellbeing Plan Advisory Committee, which are for the moment having councillor representatives revoked, does not mean that they are not still an essential priority to council and to myself, if not the larger council group, I'm sure. But they will continue to be a priority, and it's just whether the committees in the form that they were continues to be the most relevant and efficient way for us to connect with them and hear from them. So very excited to be allocating councillors to the various committees today. I think this is a really important role, part of our role, and I, for one, take great pride in being able to sit on these committees alongside community.
Great, thank you, Councillor Spinks. Are there any other councillors that would like to speak to the motion? No, councillors, we will now go to the vote. All those in favour? Motion opposed. Councillors, page 21, item 11.1, Tatura Park Advisory Committee, endorsement of new members. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward as a motion?
I'll move the motion, Mayor Sully. That the council, having considered nominations for the Tatura Park Advisory Committee, council appoint the following members for a period of 2 years, commencing on the 1st of December 2024 and expiring 30th of November 2026. Debbie Cheeseman, Caroline Colby, Darrell Eaton, Peter Hodgson, Kate McLeod, David Quick, Kevin Ryan, Suzanne Sims, Suzanne Terry and Carl Walters. And 2, formally thank Kyle Mobley and Karina Demchik for their significant contribution as they conclude their term on the Tatura Park Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Councillor Schubert. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please?
I'll second that motion.
Councillor Spinks, thank you. Councillor Schubert, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just briefly, look, I'm really pleased that people step up. It's a very, very important part of Tatura, the actual facility. And I've got to say the consultation to attract the advisory committee has been very, very good by council, whether it's been social media, public notices and all that sort of stuff. They've done an outstanding job and we've attracted some very good talent to look after that advisory committee. So, and to the committee, the incoming committee, I wish them the absolute best and thank you for the 2 departing members.
Great.
Thank you, Mayor Sully.
Councillor Spinks, would you like to speak to the motion?
Only to congratulate Councillor Schubert on his appointment to the committee alongside Councillor Sali again, and to congratulate the newly appointed committee members.
Great, thank you, councillor Spinks. Any councillors like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion? I'll just quickly mention that, yes, I have sat on that committee for the past 4 years, and I'm glad to be, again, going around sitting with Councillor Schubert. I want to congratulate Kyle and obviously Karina for their contribution and welcome some existing members back there, one in particular named Kevin Ryan. I don't know how he keeps getting back on there, but welcome him back, and a number of other great contributors to the Tatura Park Committee. That's an amazing precinct. Tatura Park comes alive, obviously, through Dairy Week, so I encourage community and councillors to get out there and see how good this asset is to us, and this group are tasked with managing a lot of the good things that happen there. So well done to the newly elected members, and congratulations to the contribution that was made from Kyle and Karina. Councillors, if there is no one else that would like to speak to the motion, we will now go to the vote. Councillors, all those in favour? Motion carried, unopposed. Councillors, item 12, documents for signing and sealing, nil received. Over the page to item 13.1.1, councillor activities, October 2024. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that as a motion, please? Brophy.
Thank you, Mayor Sali. I put forward the recommendation that the council receive and note the summary of the councillors' community interactions and informal meetings of councillors.
Thank you, councillor Brophy. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please?
Mayor Sali.
Councillor Schubert. Brophy, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, this is pertaining to the previous council before they concluded, and there were still a number of events even throughout the caretaker period. Just highlighting a couple of them that Australia renowned. We obviously hosted the Australian National Piano Awards again with the grand final here, and live streamed around Australia, and that was very well put together. Congratulations to all the organisers there. The Shepparton Apex Club had their celebration and exhibition at the Shepparton Heritage Centre. Councillor Summer and myself went along to that and were highlighted with videos of Apex antics from many years ago. That was a trip down memory lane, if you like. Certainly the annual Shepparton SBC Business Excellence Awards were held with the gala dinner here, and that's just getting bigger and bigger and very prestigious. But there's a couple of things I wanted to shout out, and that was the Youth Girls Cricket Gala Day that was held. It was myself and Mayor Sali went along to that, and it was wonderful to see the different cricketing organisations putting on a day to encourage girls to come along who haven't played cricket before, and to say, hey, this is a really terrific game, get involved, and I think that it will be a number of young girls will actually take up the challenge and be fantastic cricketers in time to come, which is terrific. And the other one that I went to, it was a public lecture by Professor Duncan Maskell, and it was entitled, and it's a really good title to it, it said, Education Kills Poverty. Absolutely brilliant it was. So just a couple of mentions of some of the activities that we went on to.
Councillor Brophy. Councillor Schubert, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, briefly, thank you, Mayor Sali. Look, this is an opportunity for the general public to understand what we as councillors get up to. They sometimes think we don't do a lot, but this is one way of proving that we are out there amongst the community. So I'm very pleased to see this is still included in the board papers. So well done, Schubert.
Are there any councillors who like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion? Councillors, we will now go to the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried, unopposed. Councillors, page 29, item 13.1.2, councillor oath or affirmation of office. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward as a motion, please? Councillor Summer.
Thank you. I will happily move that the council record the signed oath or affirmation of office in accordance with section 32 in brackets, little c in brackets of the Local Government Act 2020 as attached.
Thank you, councillor Summer. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please?
I'll second that motion.
Councillor Spinks. Councillor Summer, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Councillor Summer. Councillor Spinks, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you.
Great. Are there any councillors that would like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion? No councillors. We will now go to the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried, unopposed. Over the page to page 31, item 14, notice of motion, amendment or rescission or received. Item 15, urgent business not included on the agenda. Councillors, have we had any urgent business arise since the formalisation of the agenda? No, thank you. Item 16, close of meeting, which I will do now at 3:20 p.m. Well done, guys. Great meeting.